know that Ridley Scott will shoot his rehearsals sometimes and not tell the actors and like.
We do that. I do that. Do you know what's interesting? Like I guess I never realized before making movies, but so much of what's in the movie is after I yell cut. So I'll say cut, and then they'll usually deflate for a moment, or in Lauren's case, if she's crying, there's that moment where she comes down and tries to center herself. So much of that is in the movie, or even before I yell action. So you get everyone quiet on set, and the camera roll prior to that. So much of that's in the movie as well, where it's not the actual part of what we're supposed to be filming.
It's so interesting too because when people were shooting with film, that would be very difficult to do, but with digital, it's a completely new world.
I was lucky. This is another Mark Burke story. He happens to be here, but we saw 2, 3, and 4 on 35 millimeter, which was awesome, unless you're the producer. And I would get phone calls and they'd be like, Darren, you shot 75,000 feet today. You shoot 10,000 feet today, not 75,000. Take it out of your paycheck. Because when you're doing film, you're spending money per foot, and then you're spending money to develop that. Yeah, I think that the producers that work with me are glad that I'm on digital and not film anymore because it was expensive.
Let's do 1 or 2 more and get into the movie. So do you want to pick a number?
26.
I'll go with 25.
25.
What's something audiences never notice but you wish they would?
I'll tell you something with this film that I'm proud of, and it's something that every cinematographer that I've worked with is different, but Bella, who's here, and Bella, where are you? Stand up. Bella is here. A lot of my favorite stuff is really arty and pretentious shit that most people will never notice. In this film, Bella and I did something that was really exciting, is that when I read the script, one of the writers, Jonathan, where are you? I know you're somewhere. Jonathan. What I love about his script, when you read it, it starts off reading like an Ocean's movie. Like you read it, it's like this quirky, it's very quirky and it's fun and it's a heist film. And then before you realize it, you don't realize it when it happens. It becomes something dark, and like it just happens so subtly that all of a sudden the smile that you have reading it goes away, and you're like, this is fucked up. I loved that, and then I realized after I finished the movie, it was like 3 different movies. So Bella and I sat down and we said, how can we make this look like 3 different movies? And so we did this thing where the aspect ratio changes throughout the movie. It starts wide and then it closes in on itself. And then we changed lenses with each act as well. So when it was in the Ocean's 11 part, which is the split screens and that funky fun music, that is one lens, that's one particular lens, that is at one aspect ratio, but as it closes in, we change the lenses and it goes into this distorted, warbly lens, and we change the color palette, which all of a sudden it becomes hypercolor, like pinks and these like neon reds. I love that because it's one of those things that, you know, if you're looking for it, you notice it, but it happens so subtly throughout the movie, it's not something you realize when you do it. So I love things like that.
This is now something I'll be thinking about when I'm rewatching, in terms of, you know what I mean. I have one last one. Do you have a number? Where did you pick? Who picked the last one?
Oh yeah, it's your number.
God, this is hard. I don't know why it's hard. 19.
Last one. What looks great on film? What looks great on screen, but is absolutely miserable to film?
Objects or people?
Lauren LaVera. Well, I'll tell you, it's a little bit of a different answer to your question, but one of the things that I think is funny about the movie is when I'm huge into practical effects. I don't like to use visual effects when you can do it practically. So if you can build something prosthetic-wise, I always want to do that. So when we were trying to do the brain thing, the easy way would have been to put a green screen cap on her head and then replace it. I wanted the actual brain. But what you don't realize is, can I touch her hair? Yeah. So she's got a lot of hair. So this has to go somewhere if we're gonna put a bald cap on. So it goes up here. And then it gets a bald cap that's put on. And then after that, you have to put a prosthetic piece over the bald cap, and then you have to put a skull, a brain, a skull. and then skin. So what happens is her head goes to here. And,
Like Dan Aykroyd?
yeah, she looked like Conehead. Everyone did. And then the funny thing is you're trying to make this serious film, and you're trying to show producers a serious film, but everything looks like Coneheads up until the very end. So what we did is we kept the prosthetic head, but then we visual effected down 9 inches. So when you see the behind the scenes picture, her head is up to here.
The light bulb.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So the prosthetics are all real, and the only thing that's visual affected is we brought the head down. That's pretty ridiculous. So shooting it, I was just like, I was in the video assist, and I was just crying. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, all the crews, I'm sorry, this isn't gonna work. We had a great visual effects team who fixed it.
I am so curious, when I was watching the movie, what were the brains made out of?
We don't know. We had a great, this guy, Sven and Yasmin, who did the effects. They're fantastic. I've worked with them now 4 times. He did all of Deadpool 1 and 2. He was Ryan Reynolds' main guy. And he just came in and killed it. I don't know. It is pretty gross. I actually have one in my car. I actually have her brain in my car. But it's
That could be the headline of the story.
It is. It's silicone, and then it's wetted down with like a Vaseline and a blood. And then we will do visual effects on that, so we'll use it all, and then we will pulse it so it actually moves a little bit and has like life to it. But it's a silicone with Vaseline on it.
See, I so applaud what you're doing, because when you have mostly practical and then you amplify it with some VFX, you're seeing the practical, so it's like the VFX just sort of blend in, and you don't really notice it as much as like just a green screen slop. You know what I mean? Jumping into the specifics of the film, is the message of the movie, whenever you rent an Airbnb, get like the floor plan?
Yes.
We had a weird Airbnb story that my wife and I were shooting something in Toronto, and we rented an Airbnb. And you know, when you do it, you have to request it, and then they have to accept you. So we requested it, and we got an accept it like immediately, like within a second. And I was like, hey, we lucked out. It was a great place. It was very big and nice. And we get there, and the guy was really kind of weird and awkward, and he was very excited to show us the place. And he's like standing behind us, and it's just kind of weird. And I open up a closet door, and as I open up the closet door, there's a life-size mannequin of Michael Myers. And then behind Michael Myers, I see Saw shit. And I realized that we rented an Airbnb from a Saw fan. And he was just like, call me anytime, day or night, if you need anything. And then he leaves. So Laura, I don't remember this, he leaves, and in that closet with Michael Myers, and the Saw shit that he had was, there was a door on the floor, and it had like a hatch on it. And I was like, there's a fucking hatch here. And we opened it, and Laura, do you remember what was down there?
No.
It was the sauna. He had a sauna that had a staircase that went down, and it looked like a church bathhouse. But the entire time I was just weirded out, and he had like Saw paraphernalia and shit that just happened randomly when I picked a place at the Saw fan.
Yeah, that's the kind of situation where I would be debating like, fuck this. I mean, seriously,
He was very
like,
nice.
sure, but there's like hidden cameras. I watched your movie. I mean, there's, you know.
Whatever he was recording us doing was very boring. It was a very boring life. So our sex tapes are very not okay. They're just boring. I'm joking, we don't have sex. Okay.
A+ Q&A so far. Honest to God. So for both, actually I'll start with you. How did this project actually happen for you? Like, was this a script that you got? Just talk about the genesis.
David Tish, who's one of the producers here. David Tish, David, who are you? Yeah. I've never been more enraged at a person than David Tish at any given time. It's just like his superhuman strength that like he'll just kind of needle you. And he calls me, he's like, you gotta read the script, you gotta read the script. And then like he would just keep read the script, read the script. And usually when he says that, the script is very good. So I read it, and it was that thing I was saying. I read it, and I thought it was not a horror film. For the first 25 pages, it didn't feel like a horror film. And I was like, why are you sending this to me? Like I'm the wrong guy for this. And then it happened, and I was like, yeah, you're 100% right. And to the writer's credit, very little of this even changed from the draft that I read. And so much of the time, you do a director's pass or it's getting rewritten constantly. So much of it is what that original script was, and I loved it because it wasn't necessarily that Paloma was the antagonist or the protagonist, nor was Kezian the antagonist or the protagonist. They were both shades of gray. And I loved that because I went in being like, wow, I kind of fucking hate Paloma. And I was like, I kind of love Paloma, and I kind of hate Kezian, and I kind of love Kezian. And I love that about the movie, that both characters take turns kind of being the villain or the adversary in the film.
Lauren, I'd love to ask you, what was your reaction reading the script? And then what was your reaction when you were offered the role? Were you looking at the script and seeing what you were going to be put through?
I mean, I'm kind of used to this stuff. I'm not, this was a cakewalk compared to some of the shit I've had to do. But, I mean, Darren was the one who reached out to me first, saying that he had a role that he was interested in me playing, and I was just really excited to work with Darren to begin with. So I think before I even read the script, I think I was already kind of biased. I was like, okay, I feel like this is probably gonna happen. And then I read the script, and I fell in love with Paloma. I thought she was just so interesting and funny, like her humor just came through, just bounced off the page for me. And I was like gung-ho about it from day one. I was really excited to do the beginning of the film the most, because I feel like that's when you get to really explore the characters. The ending was just, you know, kind of what I'm used to. I'm in these situations a lot. So I just, you know, had some caffeine and was good to go.
I am curious though, as an actor, when you are playing like a full day of just being like screaming and being like just freaking out, and the emotions that you have to demonstrate on screen because your body doesn't realize obviously that this is fake. So what is it like for you at like the end of a day like that? How hard is it for you to like decompress and chill to get to sleep to do it again the next day?
I smell like shit at the end of the day.
I can vouch for that.
You can attest. I sweat so profusely because like you said, like your brain knows that it's, you know, you're not really in the situation, but your body is just like viscerally reacting, and I'm just profusely sweating, and I just had tears and like saliva. I think I spit on Jaimin a few times. I think you could even see it in one of the spit takes. At the end of the day, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what my decompression is. It's kind of a evolution for me, but I might just like watch some South Park, call someone I love, and just that kind of just brings me back down to earth. Yeah, it's not the best method, but I'm still figuring it out.
For both of you, you see what's in front of you in terms of the shooting schedule. What scene are you most excited to film, and which scene were you like, this is going to be a really fucking challenging day?
You have a script and you read it and you think reading the script originally, I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. The end is very Saw-esque, it's brain surgery, it's all this kind of stuff. But it actually was meeting Mia, who plays Smith, and seeing how her and Lauren's chemistry was, that all of a sudden my kind of excitement flipped to be about the beginning. They had such like this great chemistry, and we just started joking around about, have you seen Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses? And then it goes into Devil's Reject, which takes these characters in a completely different direction, different style, different tone. I was literally pitching them the sequel on day one of filming. I was like, guys, fuck this. Yeah, you die, it's fine, but listen, let's do a prequel and call it Baltimore, and it's gonna be Thelma and Louise meets Bound. 5 years earlier when you guys meet, I wanna make that, I wanna make a crime thing.
I still want to do this. I still want to.
So it became the first act for me because it was just fun and quirky and a little off-center. I also got to do my very pretentious art school transitions in the first act, which I always love. So yeah, I loved that.
Which is the thing that you were like the real pain in the ass to film?
Gina Phillips, I did not like working with Gina. Gina Phillips, everyone. No, I think the schedule is daunting. I think I heard Guillermo del Toro say something where he said that no matter what your budget is, you never have enough time or money. And I think that even if I would have had 30 days, I would have wanted 35. It never felt like enough time. And I think that as we shot a lot in continuity in this movie, which meant that the intense surgery stuff was at the back end. And I spent a lot of time on the opening stuff because I like that. And then we realized that when we got to the end stuff, I didn't have a lot of time. So when we got to that surgery stuff, like you have 3 different actors having prosthetics put on. And how long did it take to get the ball count?
Hours, I don't
Like
know.
5 or 6
Yeah,
hours.
like something like this.
So as a filmmaker, you get 11 and a half hours to shoot a day. That's what you get. And that doesn't matter how long it takes the actors to get ready. So it might take the actors 5 hours to get ready. And you have lunch in there. So I might have, a shot list that is an 11 and a half hour shot list, and then it comes to the reality is you have 5.5 hours, what are you gonna cut? So in the opening of the movie, it was them basically as them. But in the back half of the movie, it's insane prosthetics, it is, and then you don't think about things like sweating. So if Lauren or Alicia or Mia sweat, they create sweat bubbles, and then you see their hair pop out. You can't shoot that because it adds visual effects. So the back half of the movie, to me, made me cry a lot, just because you want more time for that, and that's the violence and the kills that people are going to talk about, and that's what we, I think, did the quickest.
What about for you?
The hardest thing for me was in the very beginning of the movie, you see Paloma swimming up to Smith. Every time I came up from the water, I would choke on chlorine in the pool, and I had lines immediately after. And I literally was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, this is just too hard for me. So that was the hardest thing. I don't know what we ended up landing on. It worked out in the end, but that was the hardest thing for me to do, just swimming and staying on lines.
So something I'm curious about is when you're screaming and freaking out, it obviously plays with your vocal cords. And so how does that, like, are you asking to do this, or I'm not sure if the schedule allows it, but how much are you thinking about, maybe we want to film this stuff on a Friday, so you have the weekend for your voice to recover, and how much is it sort of like, we have 20-something days to film this, it's just going to be on Tuesday?
It is what it is. She doesn't have that, even if she asked for it, that's not the way it works. Like,
Do not have that luxury.
no, and I think that's one of the I was a fan. Why I fell in love with Lauren is that, I try to see as many horror movies as I can. And so, like everyone else, I went and saw Terrifier 2 in the theaters. And while I loved the movie, while I loved the violence and fuck, who doesn't love David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown? It was Sienna's character that anchored that movie for me and made me love it because it gave it an emotional core. So I knew that I could trust her to. I didn't have to worry about what she was going to do. I could worry about my other shit. I could worry about the camera angles and everything else. I knew that she had that. But watching what we put her through in such a little amount of time, where she would go from like the most intense scene in the world, where we're like, okay, quick, you have an hour changeover, get back looking pretty, and now we're gonna do this scene, and then after that, she had to quickly go back and have her head shaved for another scene and be bawling, like within a day. And it was just like it was torture. It was literally torturous. At least it looked. I sat in the video assistant ate chips and shit, but it looked bad.
You laughed at me so often, and were
Yeah.
like, I feel like I'm just torturing you, like, emotionally, and I'm like, why are you smiling? Why are you enjoying this?
It made me happy. It didn't make
I
her
could
happy.
tell, I could tell.
I am curious though, like, for you, like, how are you getting ready for a role like this in like the weeks leading up to that first day of filming? Are you specifically doing certain things, watching certain things, or just in your head a lot, just thinking?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had 3 weeks to prepare for this role. So Darren offered me the role, I think, early October of last year, and we started filming that November. And I immediately reached out to 2 dialect coaches, and I was like, all right, we need to get started. And they were like, you have 3 weeks, you should usually have 6 months to work on these. So I was like, we're gonna do it. And 2 of my acting coaches, I prepped way more the backstory of Paloma, of Emma, and Molly Bloom, and Fleur, all of her characters. I was really excited to delve into this person that wanted to play all of these characters in this scam. And that was what I was most excited for. And I found that the rest, the end, it just kind of, I don't want to say I winged it, because I didn't really do that, but I just intuitively understood what was happening, and I didn't have to really prep that. It was just so easy to work with Darren. He's such a wonderful director, and he gives the actors the freedom to just play in the scene, and my scene partners were amazing. It was just so easy to play off of them. They made all the scenes incredibly dynamic. So yeah, that's my answer.
I might butcher his name, and I apologize, but Neil McDonough? Yeah. So what I love about this role, and you for putting him in it, is every time I see his face, I know he's going to be the villain, and he's not the villain in this. So what was that inspired choice?
I actually said that to him. He was, we found out we had a connection to him, and I said that. I said, like, I think I just got done watching Yellowstone, which he was in, and I said I want to see you play something I have not seen before. But it's hard not to think he's the villain with those eyes and that smug look.
Yeah.
But he's
really good at being the villain.
He is, but he is so nice and so cool and down to earth. He's just this iconic dude. I am glad you're a fan of his as well. I'm a fan of Neil.
Oh, for sure. You filmed this in Connecticut, and I'm so curious, tax reasons, or what were the reasons for ending up in Connecticut?
That's above my pay grade. There's producer that. No, I mean, I think everything is a combination of issues, whether it's tax incentive, crew, there's a multitude of reasons why a choice is done, but I'm positive in this. Tax certainly had a part of it.
So I'm fascinated by talking about the editing process, because it's where it all comes together. So talk a little bit about you, like in the editing room, you get your cut together. What did you learn from like early friends and family screenings that impacted the finished film?
That's where I become a feral animal and get just enraged about everything. Because it is like having a kid, is that you spend so much time with this thing. In the case of a film, it could be 3 years for the director, 2 years. And so by the time you get into editing, it is so, I love everything. And I'm just like, I don't want to lose that. This is Lauren's great scene. Well, no, you can't cut, that's Lauren's best scene. No, that's Lauren, you cannot cut that. But the reality is that we live in a world where people don't have attention spans, and we live on verticals where, my son's attention spans may be 18 seconds before they flip. So my pretentious, we're not cutting my art, watching it with other people, it really shows you, that first time you watch it, you see them shifting uncomfortably, or looking at their watch, or looking at their cell phone and going on Instagram as we're watching a movie. You're like, oh, maybe I should trim that. Maybe that is redundant. Maybe she already said that 6 times before. So it's always that thing that you have to come to grips with, that you have to sometimes kill your darlings.
I just want to interrupt and ask, like, I have found more and more people have shorter and shorter attention spans. And are you getting notes from producers or people saying, you need more cuts here, or you need this to keep people invested? Or has that not come up yet?
I remember when I first did Saw 2, I got kind of chastised for music video style editing, where no shot was longer than 3 seconds. Now it feels like you need to cut quick to keep people's attention span. I think you have to re-engage the audience every so often. This movie did not have an opening kill. So many times you want that opening kill to let the audience know it's coming, but we didn't do that. I don't think it's until like minute 25 when her neck is cut that anything happens. So we asked a lot of the audience in this to just go with us. Normally you would have a kill to start it off, but that wasn't that style of movie. But I think you can find other ways to keep the audience engaged outside of that. That's what we were trying to do, whether it's through Mark Seyfried's score, who I fucking love. Where's Mark? Mark Seyfried's? Whether it's his score that's doing it, or just fun moments, scenes between me and her. We were looking for those moments to try to keep people engaged, to wait till we get to that minute 25. But yeah, that's absolutely something, because we live where we doom scroll all day, and that's our new normal. To ask an audience to wait is a hard thing.
So I have met many horror fans, and they're some of the most passionate people I've ever met. What is it about the horror genre and the horror community that makes everyone so united in their love of this genre? And because both of you have done it, and I'm just curious, like, your reaction to fans, and what is it about the genre?
Yeah, I was having this conversation multiple times today. Horror fans are some of the most loyal, gung-ho people I've ever met. I don't know what it is. I think I've found that a lot of my personal friends that enjoy horror is because they're anxiety ridden. I'm kind of the same way. And I think horror is this controlled environment where anxiety ridden people like myself can experience fear. And I think that it takes a lot of vulnerability, it takes a lot of trust, and I think people who are like that are just such innately good, decent people. So I don't think I've ever met a horror fan that wasn't like, that was a terrible person. They were always just like coming from a place of, I love this character because something in my life happened that makes me feel connected, and I'm just like, yeah, we're all a little fucked up, and I think that's what connects us. All of that, like, morally gray stuff, and also all of the trauma we probably all share.
There's someone here, a Saw fan who I met. Eric, where are you? Yeah, so I'll answer it with this. Spiral was coming out, and I was at Universal Studios, and I was kind of by myself, and I wanted to see, how it played. And I'm standing outside, and I'm socially awkward, I'm really weird. And Eric walks over to me, and he's like, oh my God, I love Spiral. I've seen it X amount of times. We got a picture. And then I started seeing him at other events. And then I see him standing out in line out there. And it's that thing you realize that it is a family. It is this very dysfunctional family where it is the most supportive, nice, whether that is you're a filmmaker, a writer, or someone that's a ticket-going audience, we're all kind of trauma bonded in this thing. And I think that for me, we deal with so much bullshit all day, whether that is how we're gonna pay our mortgage, or get our kids to school, or deal with all of these things. That watching horror to me allows me to deal with emotions and fears and weird perversions in a safe space that it's not pinned up. It's you're dealing with things and having an avenue to look at them in a way that I think releases some of that tension. There was a study done during the pandemic that said that people that were horror fans were able to deal with the pandemic much easier than people that were not horror fans, because we've been getting ready for this our entire lives. And I believe that. I feel like I have gone through, all you gotta do is watch a Serbian film once and try to fuck with me now, like I'm good. Like it's prepared us, it has allowed us to go through things, to address things, to deal with our own issues in our head. In a safe space, kind of why people ride roller coasters. We know we're safe in a roller coaster. We know that we are restrained in a roller coaster, but we still do it for that thrill. And that's, kind of the answer to that question.
I got an individual for both of you, because we're almost out of time. What is it about this? You directed a number of the Saw movies. What is it about the Saw franchise that people just really respond to? Because it's really hard to make a sequel to anything, but that has made more sequels than possibly any other franchise.
I think, listen, there's a number of ways to answer that question. I'm going to give a lot of it to Tobin Bell. I think that I think that he, in the same way that I talk about Warren anchoring the Terrifier franchise, I think Tobin Bell anchored it because he's so sympathetic, even though he is a horrible person doing horrible things, but you understand why he's doing it. Like, when I did Saw 2, both of my parents had cancer at the same time. And, I'm now dealing with a guy who has cancer, and he's trying to basically say, hey, all of you motherfuckers out here that still have life are, you're smoking, you're doing drugs, you're doing these terrible things. Like, what about, you're not appreciating these things. And so for me, having both of my parents go through it, I don't know, I connected with that. And I was like, I understand it. I get it. Why do my dad or my mom have to suffer going through this, and you're over here fucking doing X, Y, or Z? So for me, I think that he anchored the movie into something that I could relate to, and I think that other people could relate to as well. I think it was well written, the entire Saw franchise. The twists, the characters, it was more than just torture porn, which a lot of people like to label it as. It was just well put together. I think the editing, Kevin Reuter, I think it was just well put together. And it was, the biggest answer though, it was like, it became repertory theater. It was the same group of people making the same movie for years. Same camera operator, same DP, same composer, same editor, same director for a while. And I think that gave it a continuity, which a lot of sequels don't have. It was the same, it was Mark Berg and Warren Coulis, and it was the same group of people making that film year after year after year.
Individual question for you. So, when you're covered in blood, which you've been in other movies covered in blood, you're all fucked up in this, you know what I mean, covered. How much temptation do you have to just go outside and just see what people's reaction will be? And how much, you know, are you sort of like, this is disgusting and I just want to get out of this immediately?
I have both of those feelings constantly, and they constantly conflict with each other. I love to scare people. It's my favorite part about Halloween. I love to scare children. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I dressed up as Jigsaw on Halloween, like as a teen, and I had like a full jacket, and I would just like sit there with the bowl, and my mom would be with me. She's like, oh yeah, it's just a dummy, and she'd like push me, and then the kids would like come up, and I would like grab them. It was the best part of Halloween, and the parents would always like laugh, and I made some children cry. It was so great. What was the question? Oh yeah, so I love scaring people, but it's so uncomfortable that I always opt to just throw me in the shower. I'm like, please immediately get this off me. It's so sticky and gross. So one of these days I will scare.
Can I give you a quick answer to that question? Can I?
Oh.
I wanted to ask you, just not to. Okay, thank you. I made a movie called The Devil's Carnival, and it's this weird, thank you. And we shot it in Riverside, California, and we were shooting in, I found out later, like a meth district. Yeah, there are meth districts in Riverside. And in this movie, it's about a carnival set in hell. And so the lead actor, Terrence, is doing it. He's got this huge prosthetic, he's got horns, and then there are other kind of people, Denzians from hell. And my assistant, who did not speak great English, he was from Barcelona. I just shot a movie in Barcelona. He comes running over to me, and it's the second to last day of filming, and I finance the entire thing. So all my money's wrapped up in it, and I'm not doing things correctly. Like, you're supposed to have your footage every day put on a hard drive, make double copies of the hard drive, send it somewhere else. We didn't do that. So all of our hard drives were in my trailer. He comes running over to me, and he's out of breath, and I don't understand his accent already, and he's like, Darren, dude, and he's saying something, and I'm like, what? Calm down, what? And he's pointing, he's screaming, them. And I see two dudes just hightail. It was like a Looney Tunes. I can see dust clouds as they're running away. And then I see my trailer door open, and they've got everything. And then I see a hard drive fall, and I realize they have all like 10 of our hard drives. And they are running, and then I scream, they have our hard drives! And the entire cast in full Devil's Carnival regalia, Terrence, this thing, everyone starts running. And so now you have Lucifer running down the hill, the painted doll, all of these people, and we chase them into a house. And you know the cliche, like dog barking, like chains in the front where the dog is put, like it was a really sketchy house. And all Devil Carnival people are surrounding this house where they ran into, and we see them run into it. We watch it, and we go knock on the door, and this father comes out in the typical white, cut off shirt, stains everywhere, and he goes, "You all get off my lawn." And we're like, "Your kids just stole our hard drives." No, they did not. Our kids have been sleeping all night. And so there's like maybe 15 actors all out there, and I was like, I've just lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. We had no backups to any of this. Someone calls the cops, and we don't leave. Police show up, and they go to the door, and the guy's like, dude, my kids have been asleep. I want you guys off my property, or I'm gonna press charges. So the cop says, did they threaten any of you? And I'm like, no. And the cop goes, did they threaten any of you? And then the camera operator, who named Ari, goes, yeah, what about a gun? Goes inside the house, comes out 20 minutes later, and has this bag of dirt-ridden hard drives. They went to the backyard and put it in a hole really quickly, and we got our hard drives back and got Devil's Carnival back. So we're thinking about running out there dressed in makeup to scare people. Lucifer standing on your porch in this meth thing.
That is a effing crazy story. Wow. Now the real question is, did you learn your lesson, and have you now been backing things up?
No. Here's a producer here, Addison, who podcast, she gave me a hard drive on her first podcast, and it had all of her student films on it, and all the work she'd done, and she gave it to me for some stupid reason, and I dropped it and broke it. We recovered it all. I got into a data recovery service, but never trust me with anything. I will break shit.
Okay, I want everyone to remember you just said that. Very, very important. My last thing I want to ask is, and I could be wrong about this, but is Terrifier 4, are you in it? Like, is that coming? Like, what can you tease?
I don't know anything, and that's the God's honest truth. Damien's still writing it. I've been seeing online people are like, Terrifier 4, October 2026. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I hadn't heard anything. And Damien's still writing it. He'd likely to be in it, so I guess we'll see.
Woo! How fast did you shoot those films?
You know what? Well, Terrifier 2, I filmed that for like a whole year. It was crazy. And it was also during the pandemic and stuff like that. But Terrifier 3, I will say, we started filming that in March or April of 2024, and it came out that October. So I guess it's still feasible. It could happen, but I don't have the answer.
Yeah, but that's what I was gonna say, is that like, I think it could be a quick turnaround in terms of, you know.
I think you're being ambitious. I think Damien's ambitious. I think Darren's ambitious. I don't know how any fucking film gets done, but we're here, so.
I was gonna say, I still don't know how any film gets made in this day and age. It's small miracles.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna close with you. I'm a fan of your work. Are you working on anything else, or developing anything else you want to tease?
No, I'm very comfortably unemployed. I've been retiring. Mark Bird. No, right now. You guys should all check out Darren and Josh Make a Movie. The podcast. Can I make a request though?
Sure.
So anytime you make a movie as quickly and is like punk rock as this movie was, it kind of is up to you. And you're the first audience that's seen the movie. Literally, this is the first audience that's ever seen the movie. I encourage you to leave here and talk about it. Even if you hated it, fucking, I don't care. Tag me, say how bad it was. Talk about it. Because a movie like this sinks or swims by your voice. So people think they don't have power and shit like this, but you have so much power, specifically now, which is all run by social media. And when people talk about a movie, it makes other people be like, what's that? So I encourage you to please tag us, talk about it, tell people what you thought. It would be very helpful for us, and maybe we can make Baltimore, which is
And to piggyback off what you just said, is you can look on the screen, feel free to take pictures of them in the screen so you can put it on social. The hashtag is TwistedMovie. It's going to be on VOD February 6th, so everyone take pictures so you can promote. Feel free to tag Collide or two. I can help with that. I heard of some juice over there. A few quick things. One, I would like to really thank all of you for coming out tonight. And Republic Pictures and Paramount. And so finally, because you can see that the theater is very tight and there's just a small little thing here, I really want to ask everyone to stay seated so Darren and Lauren can go to the lobby where they will be there and taking pictures or whatever. But let's just not crowd them down here.